We've invited the CEO of the Retail Trade Association of Kenya, Wambui Mbarire, to come. So the Retail Trade Association, as she'll tell us, brings together retailers. These are the ones that suffered the brunt of these heavy losses. Wambui, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Eric.
Under the circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Karibu sana. Thank you for joining us. This is where we fix the nation, one conversation at a time, like this one that we are about to have.
Okay.
Janet is going to welcome you with the day's quote. And today's quote is?
Today's quote is, you have to heal the wound before it ignores the medicine. You have to heal the wound before it ignores the medicine.
Who said that?
It's an African proverb. Yeah.
We've had 12 months since the last June 24. We didn't heal the wound.
Yep.
So obviously it's ignoring the medicine.
To the point where the medicine may even be ineffective.
Yeah.
We have to go into the healing of it first.
Yeah.
Heal the wound before
It ignores
the medicine.
She's right. We've had 12 months of a disease. To be honest, I would say since independence, but it's been a symptom here, a symptom there. Last year is when we were sick, and tried. White blood cells tried. Got far, but then didn't continue the treatment, I think.
Yeah.
I think we stopped at some point. It's like when they tell you have to finish the antibiotics. We didn't.
Yeah.
And now...
It just goes and goes south.
Actually, I could add on to that. It's when you scrape your hand, and then it has the hard healing on top, and you assume it has healed, so you ignore it. So last year, somebody peeled it a bit.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Wednesday, somebody really removed the whole scape off.
Yeah. Oh my.
And it comes at a very heavy cost.
It does.
Right? And this is just like, in a grand scheme of things, this is the lower end of the scale of the costs that could happen. It could get worse. Homeboy, what is RETRAC as we get into the conversation?
Okay, so RETRAC is the Retail Trade Association of Kenya. It's a business membership organization for the retail sector. To clarify, retail in Kenya speak usually means supermarkets for most people, but retail is actually everything you're seeing in the papers that was hit on Wednesday. It is the supermarkets, which is the largest retail sector, and then we have what we call fashion, apparels, optics, books, which is our specialty retail, and then we have food retail, which is our restaurants, hotels, cafes, etc. Our core mandate is really to work towards improving the business environment for the retail sector. So lobbying and advocating, having engagements with various stakeholders from government to our suppliers, our manufacturers, to engaging our consumers, looking to see, we do not have a significantly large or really engaged consumer body, so we take the responsibility of looking into the welfare of our consumers as well. I think we got hit and really highlighted as consumer facing when we had the infamous red alert. So we look to ensuring that even what our retailers are serving our consumers is good for human consumption as well.
Right, so you're almost self-regulatory in that sense.
We try to be,
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about consumer protections in Kenya a bit later, but I want to start with what we've just talked about, which is just the scale of destruction that we've seen and the amount of businesses that are lost. When Eric said, in the grand scheme of things, this is the law, and losing property, right? Because we have people losing lives. But let me start with last year. What kind of losses were incurred by business people, and now compared to this year?
The interesting thing is that even if we look at last year, it was almost unprecedented. It wasn't, we knew there were going to be demonstration, but we didn't know the scale. So normally what most of the retailers will do, especially those who are really easy targets like the supermarkets, will get police reinforcement, use our own security to ensure that we are defending ourselves, do the usual, manage the number of employees you're having coming in on that day. You manage your supplies that have been delivered that day. So the losses, I will not put a number to it because then I get quoted on it. But the losses were slightly less than this year. Reason being that it was actually, no, let me not say less. It was the same scale because then last year's kind of continued for several days.
Yes. It was every Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday.
Yeah,
Thursday.
it was, and the first week was really running battles continuously. So we didn't have. There's both distraction to property, distraction to infrastructure, because then they'll come in and as people are grabbing, you're damaging the shelves. There's damage of actual product as well, because to your point, that carton could be a carton of milk, and in running out it falls, and it's a loss as well. There's people picking out things. It's a business day, so we have money in the tills. There's man hours. There's man hours lost. So we're losing infrastructure. We have damages to stock. We have loss of stock. We have man hours lost. And I like to re-emphasize that my personal opinion is agriculture is really big, but we are the second largest industry in any context. I say every farmer grows something, then sells it. So you're automatically a wholesaler or a retailer. I think in 2024, we were at 8% to GDP. Manufacturing that we all seem to really encourage, and it's a good thing, was at 7.6. So we are larger than any of the other sector. We are second largest formal market of retail in Africa. We are only second to South Africa. We are 30%, which is really very small compared to double that in South Africa. We have about 2.5 to 3 million small traders of the informal sector. And the informal sector retail is everything from your kiosk, your mama mboga, the garage that is there, the car wash, the salon, all that is part of that retail. So if you imagine that all those people were not working the entire period of the demonstrations last year, and then all that happened in one day this year. We had more distraction to the supermarkets this year. Unfortunately, Nairobi amazingly was fairly manageable, other than I think we had one Quickmart OTC that was hit. There was attempts. It's not that there wasn't attempts. I think it's that there was greater reinforcement, and we got some support from the police. But I think at some point they got overwhelmed with other things, so we were left to our own purposes. Okay,
it's hard to imagine what starting over looks like, and maybe we'll come to what does that look like. I'm wondering what business owners are telling you right now. What do they most urgently need? What are they saying to you?
One, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So we need to use the medicine, and cure. We can't, to your point, your earlier conversations, politicians need to really manage what they're saying, because what does that portend for the rest of the country? If I now have the right of way, I mean, as long as I have a gun and it has a bullet, I've been told, go ahead. So one, it's not sustainable. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. I've had conversations with people who are thinking, you know what, let's pack up and go. What does that mean for the country? The losses, I know one of the supermarkets is, as of yesterday, had an estimate of 200 million that you require to put up the branches again.
Wow.
That's money you'll never recover. You still have to pay the suppliers because it's goods that had come to you. You still have to pay the employees. It's a day they did want to work. It's without their control of what happened. So it is. It's a dear moment. It is. It is.
You know, there's the levels of pain. Like we've seen this photo here on the front page of the Daily Nation, the Naivas in Nyeri Town, where you could see the build up to it. They had first gone to another supermarket which was attacked last year, and now there were more police reinforcements there. But there were still many more people who are, milling around that supermarket, like waiting for that opportunity so they can get in. Then they moved suddenly into this to this other one, the Naivas. And the destruction in these Naivas was just horrible. And that's the photo that we're seeing them carrying things and walking out. So there's that level. And then there's a level of the individual retailers, the small-scale retailers that we've seen, the ones at OTC, the ones in all these other places. Even in Embu, and we'll be looking at what happened in Embu, what happened in Nyeri, what happened in Eldoret. There's a photo of the supermarkets in Eldoret that, just people just threw stones. Even if they didn't get into loot, there's still repairs to be done, right? For all that, Wambui, what is it that a business person goes through? Take us into the mind of a business person who, this is your life, right? Because you talk to them all the time. What is the first thing that they go through that they think of? Do they sit back and they say, I can see where the youth were coming from? Or do they go back and say, leave this man of things alone? What the first thing that comes to the mind of such a?
I think there's a general level of anger in regard to, is it necessary? And the is it necessary is not the demonstration, is the looting, it's the police not really doing what they should be doing to protect the people. I'll give you a good example. It's a common example of how a Mama Mboga will take an M-Shwari loan at
in the morning
3 a.m. and buy her goods because she knows she'll be able to sell and be able to pay back. So if she's put out her wares and the demonstrations happen, automatically she's not paying the 3,000. She has to look for it elsewhere to borrow, first to pay back M-Shwari before she can borrow again. So on different levels, it's different things. Okay, on all levels, it's really, is this necessary? My opinion is, why do we have the police out? I mean, we saw Gen Z out peacefully on the first day. Let them come out. We have to listen. We have to listen because we are not listening, and that not listening, and we all have children, and we know this generation is not of being told stop. It's of being told stop because of, you need to explain why you're doing this. So have a and I think the ask is, even from that retailer, from my business, I can see things are difficult. I can see how hard things are. People are buying less because they really don't have that pocket for it. Supermarkets continuously in the last 3 years, I think, post-COVID. Actually, post-COVID tended to be slower than pre-COVID, than even during COVID. That's continuous. You can see that the basket value is going down. So you already know there is a problem. So the ask is listen to them and then do the right thing. Let's not give it lip service, because I think that's what the retailers are saying. Let's listen to it, and yes, there is a problem that I can see, but why do you bring out whoever it is who brings out these people who are then looting? To your point, Eric, in town we had a lot of that. Rongai had a similar situation where they go to one, they try, it doesn't work, they move to the next. And the distraction is beyond, it's not even about looting. In some cases, it doesn't look like it's about looting. It's about, let's damage. Let's damage. So I know that's not a Gen Z. I mean, there are two crowds, obviously, on the ground. There's one that's looking to just destroy for whatever reason. I don't know what gain it gives anyone to destroy. It's really, I mean, you have people crying, oh my goodness, where do I start now?
That's the question, actually.
Where do I start now?
The emotional, from an emotional standpoint, take us through the emotional toll. What is it that such a trader goes through when they come into the shop in the morning, they find all the stock gone? Not just the stock, even the shelves. So even if you got the stock, you still have to refurbish your shop. Emotionally, what does such a person go through?
The end. I mean, it's technically the end. So if I'm a small retailer, Eric, pack up and go home. Why? Why do I need to do this? Well, even, I mean, that's a point at which even your anger towards the Gen Z comes up. And maybe that's what the distraction is being aimed at, so that you turn against the Gen Z. So your anger, you're caught in between, go do your thing out there, leave my space alone. The right to demonstrate ceases to be a right when you destroy my business, because I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done nothing. I'm suffering the way you're suffering. So why would you destroy my property? Yeah, so it's. I mean, the calls that come through in the last 2 days are
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Like what? What is one person? Give us an
Heartbreaking.
example of what one person said to you.
I had 3 employees. Yeah, all my stock is gone, and this is small retailers. All my stock is gone. I had a loan to stock up that. I'm closing. I have to go home because if I stay here one more day, even my rent is not attainable. Yeah, and that's a small retailer. And you have a loan, you know? It's
your livelihood.
Yeah.
This is where you pay the rent for the shop, rent for home,
feed your kids.
feed your children,
Yeah.
school fees,
Yeah.
and then you've employed people. So I have employed 3 people. Now you
Yeah.
can imagine a small retailer who's employed 3 people. Those 3,
It's also their livelihood. It's a
their
ripple
livelihood.
effect.
Yeah.
It's a ripple effect.
There's something you've touched on, and I completely understand that for retailers, and I see and I hear from business owners, they say like this year they've seen something, levels of business that are unprecedented. Like the low level of business is lower than COVID, which for me has always just been the biggest red flag. They say I was making more sales during lockdown, and so they understand then why that people are agitating for better, why it's important for people to go to the streets. But the minute this happens, then, you know, it's very easy for that feeling to change.
Yeah.
And you rightly pointed out that it could be that there are people being brought in to be this destructive. Of course, not every crowd will not be 100% good, right? But there is a deliberate attempt to now have it look like this is a destructive demonstration. These are rioters, not demonstrators, not protesters. That's problematic. Would you say that that is the feeling of the business community in general, that they can tell that there's some kuna mchezo wa town, you know, happening there? Or is it just the anger at the demonstrations as a whole?
No. I think there is I think everyone is distinctly aware that there are 2 groups on the ground. The morning is, we could almost open business in the mornings, but then by about 1 o'clock,
Something changes.
you notice a different set of person on the street. If you think about, for example, I think it was still on Wednesday, when you have people trying to save other people. If I'm trying to save you from a certain gun, then really I know that that person does not have the same intention as I do.
Very true.
So I think we are all very clear, even as retail business people generally, that there are 2 sets of people on the ground, and that there's one set of people that is out to loot, distract, for whatever reason, and they're
To
not
beat, to rape as
agitating.
well.
They're not agitating for the same thing the other group is agitating for. Yeah, that's
I'm
very
glad
clear to
that
all.
that distinction is
Yeah.
there, because I can see the pain that business owners are going through, and I think that narrative is perhaps what is intended when these goons are deployed, when, you know, they're basically being given police escorts. It is that, so that then it becomes business owners, Nairobi business owners, for example, versus demonstrators, as opposed to security forces protecting protesters from
And
goons.
containing the
Yes.
rioters, which
And
we've talked about.
now that speaks to the police,
Yeah.
because I know
Yes.
you are in conversation
Yeah,
with them.
good.
The same way they promised us that they would keep protesters safe before Wednesday. I'm sure they also made some promises to you.
Yeah.
It was the same
there
promise.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Mombasa had demonstrators walking with the police. Because that is the intent. Protect the protester, protect the retailer who's continuing their business. And that's what the demonstration should look like.
And by 2 p.m., people went home.
Yeah, and then you have a new crowd coming in, and
That's what it should be.
that's what it should be.
Yeah.
That's what it should. Because if we're not, as long as we're not listening to each other, we are going to be at this spot for a while. And then the politician statements doesn't help.
Nope.
None of them say that even pacify people.
Yeah.
You know, may I not be picked up, but
Yeah.
last year, there was statements to pacify people. Whether I mean it or not is a different story. But there's statements to pacify. So
You care enough to lie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the attitude now is almost mutadu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an attitude of mutadu of
Yeah.
I have the power, so I can give this order.
Yeah, it's already poking a bear. We're going into a break. Our Retail Trade Association of Kenya. We have Wambui Mbarire in the studio, just talking about the loss, the destruction for retailers. I want to come back and speak to safety nets. What happens now? How are they protected? Insurance, all of that. And then just the healing thereafter, because I think a lot of Kenyans are feeling the brunt that these business owners and the toll that it's taken. So we'll be back. It's coming up to 7:30. I will be back on Fixing the Nation in just a moment.
Our conversation continues with Wambui Mbarire, the CEO of the Retail Trade Association of Kenya. We've got a call on the line. Is that so, Philip? Edward from Yatta.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Edward. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Your question or comment, please, to Wambui.
Okay, niruhusu niongee Kiswahili.
Tuendelee.
Sawa. Mimi nawashukuru sana ninyi kwanza kwa kazi mnaotufanyia. Hakika serikali ingekuwa inasikiza these talk shows na isingatie ile wananchi wanalalamika, hatungekuwa tumefika mahali tuko. This tendency of pretending that we are closing our ears to an obvious thing that we are seeing on the ground is very, very much disappointing. I'm old enough. I'm in my 60s. I've lived long enough in this country, and whatever is happening to our youth by the current government is very much disappointing. We can't pretend and say that the youth were rioting. Somebody coming to try and pretend that this was a coup. I wonder how people can go to a coup with only a flag. And the way the police were armed to their teeth shows that those ones were the ones going to the war. And I wonder, whom were they going to fight with? For example, you have mentioned the case of Mombasa. When the police cooperated with the demonstrators, why don't they take the results of Mombasa and the results of Meru, where the police also cooperated, and see what happened there? What were the results of the riot? Then we compare with Nairobi, where we are trying to cheat, blah, blah. My other question is, when a police station is being burnt, and we have got a fire brigade around, we don't see the fire extinguishers going to extinguish. What does that show? And when there's an ordinary fire somewhere, we see them. Worse still, we have got tanks in the streets splitting water aimlessly, yet there is fire somewhere where these vehicles can go and extinguish the fire.
Yep.
It's really, yes.
Asante. You bring out very good points. Very good points. And yes, it's about time we just face the truth. I think that's the gist of what you've said. We face the truth. Edward, asante sana for calling in from Yatta, and asante kwa kuzungumza kwa Kiswahili.
Actually, I'm good.
Kama ilikuja na meli, wacha tuende.
Wambui, as we come back to this conversation, I just want us to take a look at what happened. We have a case study here of Embu. Businesses in Embu are destroyed. There's a business person who was interviewed by NTV called Jackson Mwangi, a business owner in Embu. And there was also a member of the clergy, Bishop Peter Kimani, who also spoke, as well as the area MP, Gitonga Mukunji. Philip, let's start with Jackson Mwangi, the business owner, and hear what his experience was or is right now as a result of that demonstrations on Wednesday.
Lost almost rough estimate $1 million. Tukijaribu kuhesabu hiyo na ujenzi na mambo mingi, hata sima unaona waling'oa. Walimaliza kila kitu, wakaona sasa barobu ndio watatoa, sasa tunaanza upya.
Yeah, and then we have the bishop and the MP as well, who were interviewed by NTV. Let's listen to them and then come back to Wambui.
Tunaona sio mipango ya wale ambao walikuwa na nia nzuri ya maandamano, lakini ni mipango ya wapora ambao wanaopora mali na kwa njia ya kuharibu.
Wale watu wameiba maduka za watu washtakiwe na wachukuliwe hatua. Wale watu ambao wameleta maneno ya kuleta guns katika demonstrations washtakiwe.
Your reflections?
I want to hear from Wambui on how they seek redress, because the very police that you're supposed to go and report to and say, I want an OB, my property was looted, this and this happened, they're the very ones who are side by side with goons. I think Ian Wafula of the BBC got like very nice video of someone being beaten by people with clubs, and a police Land Cruiser just driving by away, nothing happening, right? And we saw more and more of that. Everywhere where there was businesses, there were no police officers conveniently, or if they were complacent. How do you seek redress, Wambui?
Do we seek redress? Do we? Let me tell you about how we work with the police. So yes, they're supposed to give us the protection that we require. And like on Tuesday, we had requested for enforcement for all, especially our CBD branches, because those are the ones that usually suffer the largest brand. But it's not a case you're going to take to the cops after that. One, to your point, some people look like they're in the same camp. So, and then you have not arrested a person. You could do a citizen arrest. But I think somebody here earlier said, I don't know where it was, where they took the guy and then he's coming out. I'll give you a good example.
It's on Nolkalau. That's why they were torching a police station yesterday.
Yeah. And that says to the first gentleman, it says a lot. Yeah, that, no, to you, that the cops passed that guy and...
Yeah, he's being beaten and they're just like...
Yeah. I'll tell you why there's also some kind of anger towards the police. One of our greatest challenges as a sector is what we call shrinkage or theft. We have two levels of theft. We have shoplifter. A shoplifter is usually maybe 5% of the money we lose. But we have... Yes, that one. Or a TV between her thighs.
Fit somehow.
Yes. And then there's internal theft. Internal theft is different aspects. There's collusion between our receiver and the supplier. There's collusion between a consumer and a till person. And if I use the shoplifters, we can arrest the shoplifter and we take them to Central. And in the afternoon, they'll be somewhere else. And there's no law that protects us against that. And for some reason, it has failed to hit home that it is not one shoplifter, it's a whole cartel. And today we are hitting the city center and everyone, please come with 2 bottles of Nivea. And that becomes stock to go sell to somebody else. Yeah, and that we've explained, we've demonstrated. But still you'll take that guy and he's not even worried about you taking him to Central because he knows. So sadly, we can't say we will seek redress from the police, even though we all have CCTV and could very well tell you these are the people. But given the political connotations of the looting,
it's complex.
It's complex.
What about Ministry of Trade? I was going to say Interior, but we have a lot of questioning there. But I'm just wondering whether also that is, a place where you can seek redress, or just, I don't know, whether they cover or whether there's a line of communication to say, we understand this is happening, this is how we can step in.
The thing I'll say about government, they're very good listeners. Government does listen, actually. What they do with that information is what is always to question.
They don't hear.
Yeah, they listen, but they don't hear. Thank you, Eric. They listen, but they don't hear. So yes, and we have a scheduled meeting with 2 people, one with Governor Sakaja and the other one with CS Lee Kinyanjui, to just speak about the challenges of retail currently. Because even before Wednesday, we've had... you remember there was a time in February, there was this whole distraction of signposts and thingy. And my question is always, they are licensed. So if they don't meet the dimensions, because you have the dimensions by law, how did they then not fit the dimension? I kept saying, looked like somebody had an order for scrap metal.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because also, even
Yeah.
if they did not meet, first of all the things that plague Nairobi,
Yeah, signpost was the
signpost is number 100,
Yeah.
but also, if it's such a big problem, you
Yeah.
could write and say, this does not meet our
You have
regulations,
3
take
months.
it down. You have 3 months to take it down. But to come and start yanking things off,
Yeah.
it's performative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot of odd things. I'm wondering, as you even go into these meetings, hoping that they will listen
Yeah.
beyond hearing,
Yeah.
are there any accountability measures that you also want to propose moving forward, should there be another uncertain happening like did?
Yeah.
Do you have any in mind that you firmly believe if we have these measures in place,
Yeah.
beyond some of what you've talked about,
Yeah.
then at least we are guaranteed of traders' safety?
I have a defeatist attitude around this conversation right now.
It's
And
early
that
days, actually,
particular
don't blame
question,
you. Right.
So, what could you do better? You could listen. You could listen and say, we will do. You could do, fine, we've allowed you to demonstrate. Everyone get out of town by 1 p.m. And put it out there so that 1 p.m. we all know we should get out. So basically communicate where you feel we are stepping on your toes so that we are then able to continue. We could say that the police really must take the stand as a neutral person and protect property. You should not be the ones walking with the guys with the rungus, definitely. So we could ask, could the police please take their role seriously, stand and protect people's property, protect people, and hopefully the damages, the casualties will be less. We could ask. Yeah, we could.
And
In
hope
an
that it
ideal
will
world.
land
Yeah.
somewhere.
I wanted
Yeah.
to speak to
Yeah.
insurance. I
Yeah.
saw like CIC paid out 400 million shillings in claims from
Yeah.
last year's
Yeah.
protests.
Yeah.
From your knowledge of the members of the Retail Traders Association,
Yeah.
how many are insured against political risk? I know insurance uptake in Kenya is very low, but how many are? And are there challenges with insurers, sometimes with paying out these claims, or is it a fairly smooth process? Also, are we seeing now premiums go up because of the likelihood of events like this?
That's where we start. Premiums have gone up because this has become quote unquote normal. It's going to happen. You're going to lose property. So for the formal players, a significant number of them are actually insured. There's always a question of, are you adequately insured? Remember, we do retail and we have upwards of, some people have upwards of 4,000 SKUs, items that you have.
Okay.
So even agreeing, so there would be some back and forth with the insurance
How much
in
was in
terms
the
of
store on the day?
yeah, you have to. There is definitely going to be some back and forth. Premiums will definitely have gone and will probably continue going.
higher.
Which means to your list of 100 as a retailer, that drops also. Now, first, before I even start thinking of insuring myself again, I need to first get money to restock myself, to fix my infrastructure. So what happens if we're back here next week?
Yeah.
You know, so
a
there's a
whole
lot of exposure for the players. And
Pause.
then there are the smaller retailers who in most cases will not have insurance.
Insurance, yes.
Yeah.
I just want to hold the thought, yeah.
Pause on the thought of insurance because it's still deeper. But we have
Yeah.
Victor from Kitale who would like to contribute or ask a question. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for calling. What's your question or comment?
I've been listening to your show, and it takes me back to the Bible, where the rod and in the tide. This is a cohort of these students who we were told that corporal punishment should be done. And you remember that during that time, there were a lot of burning of school, and there are too much freedom in school. watoto walifika mahali mpaka wakashinda walimu. Walimu wakanyamaza. Sasa hivi yeah, they are wamezoea kama kile. Sasa wamerudi, they are now a nuisance to the nation. I think we need to address it mahali mvua ilianza kunyesha.
How do we do that?
First of all, I think we need to review discipline learning. How do we bring our watoto ambao wako shule sahihi? How to make sure that they grow up to be very responsible citizens. Ni lazima, I think something should be done around corporal punishment. Not really.
Victor, are you saying that this generation of young Kenyans who are in their 20s into early 30 are indisciplined?
Majority of them are. To be very, and let me ask you.
So just Victor, just a quick question. What to you speaks to the indiscipline? What shows the indiscipline?
I will talk that we have had different demonstrations before. And let me ask you, have you ever witnessed any demonstrations in the past where demonstrators went as far as the parliament?
No, it was
Have
the
you
first
ever
time.
seen any during our time? I'm in my 40s, going to 50. Have you ever seen any?
No.
If we compare previous demonstrations and the current demonstration, it is a clear sign that discipline is a change.
Okay, just hold on the line, Victor. Perhaps we'll respond to that. I don't. I think off the bat, I would just say it's a little bit colonial. Victor's argument, simply because people going to the streets and agitating for their rights is not a lack of discipline, but rather the opposite, actually. You are guaranteed certain freedoms, you are guaranteed expression, you are also meant to oversight those that you have elected and put in power. So you exercising that should not be a problem. He's given the example of marching to parliament, and I think you have to give context, because the parliament therein was trying to pass a bill that had been rejected by the very people that put you in parliament. So it was not going to parliament for fun or for lunch or for brunch.
Yeah, it wasn't a day out.
Yeah. But I should get back to the your thoughts.
My thoughts on that is, we have identified, all of us, I'm a Gen Z for this particular conversation, that there's a problem. And we have spoken to these people who are the ones who are supposed to be making sure our country is working. And our country is not working. So let's go tell them where they are at, that it is not working. So for me, that's what the breach meant. We've tried to tell you in all manners, from all platforms, it is not working. So let us bring ourselves in person to tell you it is not working.
Deliver the memo.
Yeah, we are bringing our petition to you. Yeah, again, even that could have been handled without the violence.
It really could. I think, as a nation, of course, we do have a lot of hang-ups because of the systems that we grew up in. Tumetoka kwa mbeberu, for lack of a better word. So then the idea of pushing back against authority looks like indiscipline to a lot of people and to certain generations. But then you're also a human being of free will. I think, the definition of discipline does need to change. But he does bring a point on perhaps where the rain began to beat us. And he's trying to think, these young people that you see on the streets today, where were they in high school? I think he tried to thread it with people who are burning schools. Now they're burning, elsewhere. I don't think that's entirely, it's not entirely offbeat, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Because there's a culture of violence that has been perpetrated and continued, and now we're seeing it in society. It goes into school and then into society.
Yeah, I know
So
we're coming back
to
speak about insurance and safety nets, but I think one of the biggest things that ails us is blanket condemnation, and it continues to divide either generations or party, whatever it is that sense of all of them are. It's tedious to separate what's right and what's wrong, but it's actually imperative. From going forward, that's the only way we can do it. Even the interior CS saying all police should, and anybody who, that blanket condemnation, I think is highly harmful to any society, because it pits people against each other. Here we're almost short for time. I know there was a conversation about insurance. For you to just sort of like summarize that for us.
The smaller traders.
So the smaller traders are not necessary. You said uptake of insurance is very low. So also that the fact that retail is very informal, especially on the smaller scale. You require certain systems to be able to be insurable. That already is a problem, because can a kiosk guy tell you the value of his stock?
At any given moment.
At any given moment, So just the technicalities that are required are a step we aspire to get to in this journey of formalizing our retail, because then that would allow them to have a system that works, that then allows them to be able to say, this is the value of my stock. Insurance also requires permanency, even in structure.
It does.
Again, that has a challenge for many of our retailers.
As we wrap up, how can we support retailers, traders, especially those who have had this level of destruction on their properties? How do we support them, aside from, of course, frequenting their businesses as much as we can, even with our thin pockets, thanks to the tough economic times?
I think speak out more. Fixing the nation is an awesome way of going it. We need to speak out more. We need to really try and get people to hear. Or is it to listen?
Both.
Both, but mostly listen.
So that the approach changes. The approach changes, and really acknowledge that there is a problem. I say one of the things, and that speaks to what you're talking about in terms of generation. I call myself, I belong to the fearful nation. My generation was, and you run, and I think part of the leadership is of that generation. So they're wondering when I say, why aren't you running?
Yes.
But then I say we are all parents, that leadership generation, and because you have kids in your house, you do know that why is a question they ask often. So we need to be able to answer the why. Why is life so hard? Why don't I have a job? Why did I go to school and didn't get to... the promise of a good life because of education is not real. And part of it is that, this is the generation that had free education. This is Kibaki's free education group. And education opens your mind to, there has to be a reason why you're saying that. You can't just say, because I'm your mother, I said no. So, just speak out more. Maybe, I say one of the things we have as a country is we have a lot of talk, very little implementation. And that's really where our challenge, that's where the rubber meets the road. So if we can convert conversation to actual, minus political statements, because then that would be really bad. That would be a way to starting to fix the nation.
Okay, thank you.
Wambui Mbarire, the CEO of the Retail Trade Association of Kenya, has been our guest, talking about the tears, the losses, particularly to the business community. In the next hour, we host Boniface Mwangi. Let's talk about protest, demonstration, expressing yourself, raising your voice. It's coming up to 8 a.m. Okay, keep it here. Good morning.